Hi and welcome to TOOP TV. This week is a special spring edition. We cover what's involved in selling your property and we have the seller's 10-point checklist, which I'm sure you're going to find very, very interesting. For those of you looking to buy, however, we have two of SA's finest featured today. We have one at Unley Park. The Unley Park property has this most magnificent pool and outdoor entertaining area, and it's in the heart of the best suburbs. And then we go to the other side of town where we have in Dutton House, which is in Medindi, and it's a magnificent classic traditional style property that is very large and most impressive. So for those of you looking to buy, stay tuned. For those of you with questions and queries, remember, we're live and interactive. So call now or email us and we'll answer your questions at the end of the show. And it's a huge show today. We're covering a lot of information, so stay with us for the whole half hour. RP Data with Cameron Cusher runs through some really relevant and important information about what's happening with the market and the way it's tracking. Later on, we've got interest rates with Mark Lewis. Now, Mark from Bernie Lewis Homes, he hasn't been on the show for a while, but he is always interesting to listen to, and let's find out where those interest rates are going. Now, the inside story today is on what's happening internationally with inquiries for buyers here in South Australia.
First home buyers are slowly being edged out of the real estate market by investors and more recently overseas buyers. According to the latest RP Data report, consistently high levels of migration are a large contributor to the strong demand for housing. This is occurring more frequently in markets closer to the centre of Adelaide, including Unley, Walkerville and St Peters. These areas have shown the largest gains in house values over the past year. While this population boom has been great for the state's real estate market, the public has had mixed reactions.
Well, I think sometimes they come in and they have a little bit more money. I think it sometimes just pushes the prices up. Depends whether they're going to buy them for an investment or whether they're going to, rent them out or sell them or live in them.
Probably affecting the market to the upper level. I'm looking to sell probably my house, which is a larger property. I'm hoping that might be something that my house might appeal to that market in Toorak Gardens. So
pushing prices up, that's all.
We haven't got the infrastructure to support it, basically.
We've definitely got the space, we just need the government to open up the land packages to accommodate more people coming in.
Despite the growing number of South Australian residents causing a price influx, Adelaide is still mainland Australia's most affordable capital city housing market. Our median selling price is 32% lower than the highest median house price in Sydney.
There's always so much talk about the market, particularly in spring, and it's no different this year. It's very full on and it's going to be a great year, I think. Now, joining me in the studio today is a guy that's been in the news a fair bit in the last 6 days. It's a big man in town, one of the big news stories, and of course, Matty Primus joins me from Port Adelaide as the new senior coach. Matty, how are you going?
Very well, Toopy. Thanks for the invite today.
Yeah, now Matty, just before we get into the property side of the discussion, just give us a snippet of how it felt going through that whole process of becoming the senior coach.
Oh, look, it was pretty full on. It was over 5 or 6 weeks and 6 or 7 different steps of presenting to the coaching committee, and then culminated in presenting to the board, which was one of you last Wednesday, which was pretty nerve-wracking. But look, it was a great process, really thorough, and I was thrilled to come out on top and be offered the job. This time last week nearly.
Yeah, well, this time we had Tim fill in quickly for me, and now if you look back at the old vision, people didn't realise the significance of it, but we had this board meeting, sprung on us last minute, and I had to get Tim to fill in. So Tim guesses on air that I'm obviously selecting the coach in the meeting. So it was very funny, but it was serious at the time. But
could have done a live cross after the board meeting and given our viewers some good news.
Yeah. Anyway, congratulations, mate, and it's well deserved, and I hope you have a great year.
Thanks, mate.
Now, what I'm here today to talk about is not your on-field coaching, but I'm really keen to hear the story, the inside story, about what your thoughts are about your team and how young kids coming into sport deal with that fame and the money and where that money goes. So just, can you run us through what happens when you first get into footy?
Well, look, we draft most of our kids at the age of 18, 17, 18, maybe a couple of more experienced guys, but that's the age. Some are from interstate and they've come from just finishing year 12 or maybe finished year 12 the year before. So from not earning too much to earning $100,000, $200,000 straight up. So it's a significant increase in their pay. So we've got to try and monitor that. We have welfare people in charge of them. We have our Players Association that look after them and tell them, their managers who they can look after them, give them good advice. And obviously, like most young kids when they come in, the first thing you want to do is own your own house like your mum and dad did, and so on and so on. So it's all about trying to manage it though, and deal with it there, which is pretty important because it's a big step up from where they've come from.
So they're basically going from zero income to big dollars.
Yep.
And when you do that, it's a lot of disposable income. Surely it's a good thing that they do get into property, because it's like compulsory savings?
Well, it is, and I think we've all grown up and with our mum and dads trying to pay off the 25-year mortgage and seeing how they do it, and you want to be like your mum and dad. So yeah, you get into that, and look, probably after their first year of settling in, they then start to look at, they've been with the host family or shared a house, so they then want to branch out and look at start buying their own property. And there's a lot of good bargains here in Adelaide that we can pick up. So they start to do that, and then they can rent out to the next year's draftees and so on from there. So it's pretty important for them, and a lot of the guys really get into the property market the first 2 or 3 years.
Now we're dealing with a number of the Port Adelaide players at the moment. 3 of the board members are right into property, developers and ourselves as sellers of the properties. Do you encourage that? Are you actually actively, encouraging them to do that? Because surely for interstate players, it might be a bit of a grounding thing to help them retention.
Look, retention is massive. With Gold Coast coming in next year, and we've seen the players who have already left due to the big dollars they're presenting out there, and Greater Western Sydney in the year after that. So to be able to keep these players, get them doing something off field, putting their finances into that, making some money, but also making it something that they like to get into, and a lot of them do like to get into property, and to be able to point them in the right direction to people like yourself or other board members or other people we have involved at the club. It is crucial to be able to keep them, not only now, but in 2 years' time when they come up, and then keep them for another 2 years and another 2 years, and then you start to build a real good culture at the football club. So really important what they do off field is keeping them happy, and they actually got something they can get their hands dirty with. Not only does it help it off field, but it helps them play better footy on field too.
Yeah, because presumably if they get really into it, and which I know at least 3 or 4 of the guys are, they can not only earn the extra cash that they would get paid perhaps as football players, but it gives them a real interest in something that's going to put them in good stead for post-football.
Yeah, no doubt, and it's another interest they have. Footy's pretty demanding, and you can think about it 24/7, but that's probably up for the coaches to think about it, and the players just to do it when they come to training and play. So for their downtime, for them to be able to sit down and get involved in property or whatever it is, and for them to find something that they're really keen on doing is pretty important. And if they're happy outside their football life, then I'm sure their footy life's going to be pretty happy too, which is important.
Matty, I've got a few other questions for you, but we might do that later in the show because we just need to move on to the next segment. So I'll come back to you, but I want to find out a bit about what you're doing in property as well, all right? So we'll come back to that. In the meantime, let's go and have a look at the RP Data property report from Cameron Cusher. And this is a very, very important report, and it's just fresh, so I hope you enjoy it.